Hey everyone. So it's been a while, and I've played quite a few games with the previous list. I've won pretty much all of them except for a couple, and I've made a lot of changes. So I'm actually in a game right now, or a game that looks like it's about to start. But I want to cover the changes that we've gone through. So the first one is that I forgot to put in a basic plains. So I've cut one island for a plains. Um, I've also replaced an island with a Tundra, which unfortunately is going to raise the price of this list. Of course, you can always proxy the Tundra if you're building this in paper and your playgroup is okay with it. I personally don't like to play with proxies, so it might be a little while before I can actually assemble this list in paper, since I like to do that after I finalize them. One thing I wanted to cut was Cathartic Reunion for the Valakut Awakening. That's just because I wanted an instant speed way to cycle through our deck, or at least, if we draw the wrong half of our deck, let's say we draw a bunch of, counter spells or something, counter spells and maybe some bounce cards. Cathartic Reunion wasn't doing the job for me. And I wanted to be able to pitch more cards, or at least filter out more cards. And so I cut the Cathartic Reunion for the Valakut Awakening. So far it's performed a little bit better. I also cut Spectral Sailor. I don't know many times where we actually have 4 mana to sink to draw one card. I think it's better to just have Ponder. And so far I've actually been liking Ponder a lot better. Turn 1 Ponder is much better than turn 1 Spectral Sailor. Treasonous Ogre has been cut for Loran the Third Path. I know we're replacing a non-human with a human, which is reducing the number of mutate targets in our deck from 13 to 12. And that's mostly just because I found that Treasonous Ogre puts a target on our back pretty hard. Costs 4 mana, so a lot of times we can't actually go off. Or at least, the better way to put it is you pretty much have to go off with Treasonous Ogre the turn you cast it. Otherwise, you're probably going to get targeted and killed. And it also, it's kind of an awkward card to have in hand when you're not ready to go off, because you don't really want to play it. I've been liking Loran a lot better. It draws you cards. Looks like our game is starting, but Loran draws you cards if need be. You just pick the opponent who has the weakest looking deck, or at least seems to be the weakest to you. And also allows you to destroy things that can hose you, such as Deafening Silence, Rule of Law, those sorts of things. Dreadhorde Arcanist, I've seen it in a lot of lists, but I end up cutting it. I think it's cute that you can mutate onto it and attack, and then cast something from your graveyard for free, which essentially means you can mutate Vadrok onto it, increase its power and toughness, get your free cast off Vadrok, and then attack with the Dreadhorde Arcanist and exile another non-creature. But I found that what I actually want is something more like Deep Gnome Terramancer. I'd rather ramp our deck faster. Also is something that can be mutated onto, so we're not actually losing number of mutate targets. And part of this is because Dreadhorde Arcanist actually exiles the card that you cast, whereas I prefer to cast Vadrok whenever we're about to win, and so that's the main reason why I made that switch. Is I feel like there aren't that many times when we're actually casting the Dreadhorde Arcanist, and then actually mutating onto it unless we're about to win, in which case it's almost kind of irrelevant anyway. So our game has started. I'm gonna go ahead and play through this, and then get back over to talking about the list a little bit more. But that pretty much covers the changes since last time. I played somewhere around 20 games since initially building the list, and these are the changes I've made so far. Some cards I'm still testing and not sure of. Like I've cast Usury a couple times, but it's always been killed like immediately. So, but yeah, we can't keep this hand. So We're going to mulligan. I actually think I can keep this. We've got a Ragavan. We've got a Recruiter, like a tutor. We've got the Cloud of Fairies. So we're playing against Ramos, Dragon, and new Traxa. Unfortunately, I don't know why it's not loading for me. But I know what Traxa does. Honestly, the other time that I've seen a Traxa, she's never actually been cast just because the game was over before then. But we're going turn 1 Ragavan pass. And right now I'm thinking turn 2. Well, actually, turn 2 we'd attack with the Ragavan. And then probably play the Recruiter of the Guard. Either that or solve the equation. I'm actually leaning more toward um, Recruiter of the Guard here. I think that what we can do, we need some sort of draw engine. I might actually grab Usury here. Actually, no, Recruiter Guard is toughness, right? Okay, I can't grab Usury. Trying to think what we grab here. Could be Esper Sentinel. Because I need to establish a draw engine, if possible. Okay, so out of these, I like seeing Deep Gnome Terramancer. We don't have a lot of lands in this deck or in our hand. We're playing against green decks. This will allow us to ramp. Out of these, I think, honestly, it's kind of a toss-up. I think I'm going to hit the Ramos. This guy here. Yeah, so I'm actually just going to play the Deep Gnome Terramancer and pass. We need to get lands out of our deck. I'm hoping that these guys kind of ramp. And then we have solved the equation, which can get us one of our win con cards. We have Cloud of Fairies, which is a combo piece. We have Recruiter of the Guard that can grab us a Grand Abolisher if necessary to protect ourselves. And I'm actually thinking of doing that play next, just to be safe. Recruiter of the Guard into Grand Abolisher. Okay, it looks like there's an Arcane Signet. Unfortunately, it looks like Kleber has lost the game, or has lost connection to the game. Not sure if he's coming back. So I'm going to go ahead and talk while we're waiting on this guy. Right now, in terms of threat assessment, I actually think Ramos is the more threatening one. What I've seen from Dragon decks. So I'm more afraid of Tiamat decks than Dragon, just because Tiamat is literally go find your combo pieces, when I cast my commander. Ramos is, it could just be 5-color good stuff, but I'm more likely to see combos out of Ramos than I am Dragon, which typically plays like good stuff dragons and beats. Not really afraid of Kleber with his Atraxa. New Atraxa I think is not very good. Literally have never seen it be cast. The game has always been over before I've seen her come down. And so I think it's a slow deck even with ramp. Luckily we have Ragavan. Looks like he's going to be able to swing through again. And we have the cards in handy to find our combo pieces as well as our protection pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and kick Kleber. Honestly, don't think he's that big of a threat anyway. Again, I think it'll be a closer matchup against Dragon and Ramos than New Atraxa. Literally have never seen a New Atraxa built that has been scary. Old Atraxa is so much scarier. I think New Atraxa is a little bit lower on the power scale. But what I'm thinking here is solve the equation and well, actually, I'm thinking recruit the guard next. Grab our Grand Abolisher. I think solve the equation. Probably need to grab Manifold Insights. That card, which will get us more cards. Essentially, that's what we need is a way to get more cards. And I'm thinking we could also just grab another of our combo pieces like Snap or something like that. The issue is that without a cloning effect like Heat Flame or Heat Shimmer, or yeah, Twin Flame or Heat Shimmer, we don't really get. We can't really combo off. Can't really do anything about it. So. Okay, so it looks like no one's ramping this game, so um, probably be relying on Ragavan for some treasure lands. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and swing. Um, Honestly, I'm gonna swing both. We're not gonna be blocking with the Deep Gnome Terramancer anyway, so it's not even like. Yeah, it's really not even like we're gonna. Actually, I need to think about this. So Ramos is ramping pretty hard. Honestly, I'd rather save the swords for like his commander or something. I think here, Dragon could attempt to board wipe. And I don't think it's actually that big of a deal if if we were to lose a loser board. I'm gonna play Recruiter. And I'm actually gonna grab I think I actually want to grab the Esper Sentinel. And the main reason why is I feel like I need some draw power right now. Really hoping one of them plays a ramp spell. I'm really hoping Dragon does, but I actually have a feeling Dragon is going to board wipe here, or at least come close to board wiping. Looks like I'm predicting Ramos is going to cast Ramos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's searching his deck. Gonna ask this guy if he wants to pay. Looks like he is gonna pay for the Demonic Tutor. Okay. Yeah, it's unfortunate no one's actually played a fetch land yet this game. Usually I see Deep Gnome Terramancer go off a little bit harder, but I also think this is one of the slower Dragon starts that I've seen. Usually Dragon is a lot faster and a lot scarier than this. And again, my worry is actually over Ramos. The other thing to say about Dragon is that I was previously going off the assumption that Dragon is playing this sort of Dragon's good stuff deck, but Dragon can be built a lot of different ways. It can be built as like a changeling tribal. It can be built for combos. It literally is just a 5-color 5-color commander with an eminence ability. And if you happen to have dragons as part of the combo, or changeling as part of the combo, then you're fine running Dragon because it actually speeds you up slightly by having that eminence ability. But I would imagine he's probably gonna grab board wipe soon. He is leaving himself pretty open. This guy's taking a long time to think about what he wants to grab with Demonic Tutor. Did this guy build his deck wrong? He's saying he can't find what he's trying to get, so I have no idea what he's doing here. So this game that we're playing here might be representative of some of the lines. And ultimately, the tutors like Recruiter, the Guard, and Imperial Recruiter, you ultimately ask yourself, what do I want right now? Because in our case, um, we're missing a couple things. We're missing lands. We're missing uh, several combo pieces, like the non-creature combo pieces. And so I think general card draw, like Esper Sentinel, is better than just trying to find like a Grand Abolisher. Otherwise, we might have a Grand Abolisher, not find our combo pieces, and sit there and just be sad for most of the game. But normally, I would prefer a full for 4-person game. I actually think I'm going to add Claver to the ignore list. Because I don't like guys who join games and then just leave like they do. Prefer to have full games of 4. Essentially, what I'm trying to assemble here is one of the combos listed in the primer. So we have the Cloud of Fairies, we have Vadrok and Command Zone. Now we need Snap and Twin Flame or Heat Shimmer. And ideally a graveyard stocked with some other non-creature spells that we can utilize, otherwise we're just going to be looping for kind of no reason for a while. Thankfully, we do have a solid equation in hand, so once we assemble the cards to begin that loop, we can eventually cast a solid equation from the graveyard off of one of the Vadroks that will be mutated in order to find other missing combo pieces. Is he trying to cast Ramos here, or I'm confused what he's doing here? Is there 6 for Ramos? I'm gonna play Bring to Light. Do you want to pay for this? Okay. Looks like it's paid. Search your library for instant. Then, and he paid 5 colors. Less than, or equal to number of colors, sure. You have to cast something that costs 5 or less for free. Pretty cool, I guess. I'm kind of curious what he's going to bring out here. Creature, instant, or sorcery. Less than or equals the number of colors a mana spent to cast a spell. I'm hoping he actually knows what he wants, because it looks like the Dragon player had no idea, no clue what was going on. Worst case scenario of what we do here, because I don't like most of the cards in our hand. I might solve the equation to grab some sort of wheel effect, maybe like a windfall or something. As in, on my turn, attack with Ragavan into Dragon, make a treasure, cast the Cloud of Fairies, untap 2 lands, and then using the treasure and the 2 lands, play solve the equation, and try to find some sort of wheel effect. Okay, Marchesa the Black Rose is an interesting choice here. Gives you Dethrone. Yes, that's cool. Looks like we're taking 4. The only thing about the line I mentioned is that um, you're not gonna dethrone. The other thing about the line I mentioned is that it kind of telegraphs their opponent what we're about to do. Um, I think it's necessary though. Okay, I have no idea what he's doing. I'm just gonna move on. We're just gonna go attacks. We're gonna hit him with everything. No real reason to hold back here. It's not like we're gonna block with any of these creatures. Radiant Flames. So X is in the colors to each creature. Okay, so it could blow up our own board. uh, not a huge fan of that approach. Play Cloud of Fairies, untap. Kind of want to play the Is It Signet before we do a solve the equation. We're really struggling on lands here. And maybe that's like a sign that we actually need to put another land in the deck. Might have cut down a little bit too hard. Should we leave leave the treasure? Is it Signet? I think we pass. I think I like doing that. That way we have potentially more mana. I would really like to not play solve the equation into like a wheel effect and then just pass. Or rather grab a wheel and pass, because I don't like signaling to the board that, hey, I have a wheel effect, but I'm going to give you guys a whole round to know that I have a wheel effect. And if something scary happens, we can use the treasure token to play the swords, which might be necessary here. Yeah, so far, I'm actually thinking I might cut the Realm Right. I've been on the fence about this guy for a while. He's mainly used for High Tide and also to fix some of our mana issues sometimes. But we run so many blue sources that I found that we don't really need Realm Right. Um, Even high tiding off of like 2 islands has been fine for me. So I think Realm Right could be cut possibly just for a land. The only downside is that he's not a human, and so it's a mutate target we'd be losing. I think for now I'll probably keep him. I don't like going below 12 mutate targets. I know that already sounds kind of low, but I've been pretty fine in the games that I've tested, um, even with that low number of mutate targets. Normally games are a lot faster than this. I know if you watch some of my previous videos where I'm just covering replays, I'm blowing through them pretty quickly, which allows you to kind of see people's turns pretty quickly. Whereas this game is actually pretty slow, um, even by normal standards. I'm used to people playing faster than this. The especially brutal turns were the ones where they were tutoring and they're like not really sure what they're tutoring for. I'm not too scared about Tear the Piece. Again, our life total is just like a timer essentially. We're gonna take a lot of damage as we try to find our combo pieces. That's just how this deck works. There's no other way around it really. Our goal is to not die and not get burned out before that happens. And there is a replay I've saved of a game that I lost, and I want to cover that after this game is over, and just to talk about um, the concerns I have with the deck so far, and that is namely that it's actually not fast enough. So we cut Dockside, and Dockside is what would push this deck into competitive EDH territory, but at the same time, all it takes is someone sitting at the table to just be like, hey, they're a combo deck, we need to kill them fast, have the whole table come after you. And then because our deck was intentionally slowed down, uh, we aren't able to assemble a combo fast enough to actually win. And so we just get killed off or burned out just by the table. And so it's made me wonder if there's uh, ways to actually speed up the deck without running Dockside. And so some cards like Realm Right, which are can be good for mana fixing, like if you need a white source, especially you can name planes, but otherwise are just kind of there for uh, high tide loops. Makes me wonder if we could replace Realm Right with another creature that could speed us up somehow. That is also not a human. Um, and also, something that would slow down opponents. I've been kind of thinking, what if we put in a what if we put in like a Grand Arbiter? The only thing is that that's running off the assumption the table already hates you anyway. If you play a Grand Arbiter, they're definitely going to hate you at that point, and you're going to have attention drawn to you. But I have been tinkering with the idea of possibly running that. Okay, so here's the mana we need. Looks like we can't swing at anything with the Ragavan. So it is actually just going to be blocking. Does he have any flyers? It looks like he does not, so we're just going to swing with the Cloud of Fairies. Because, like I said, we're not blocking with these creatures for the most part, unless we actually have to. Absolutely have to. So I'm just going to play this Mothering Tithe. And we're going to pass. It's really unfortunate that none of them are tutoring any lands from their deck. Deep Gnome Terramancer is very sad here. However, I don't think it's worth a cut just because of this game, because he's been good in pretty much every other game I've tried. I would say this game's more the exception than the norm, and I think if we actually had our fourth player, not just disconnect because he was upset with someone playing slow, that he probably could have tutored Traxa being a 4-color deck, probably has some sort of land ramp or fetch lands or something, would have triggered our Deep Gnome Terramancer. Okay, I'm just going to assume that he did not pay for this Mothering Tithe. Ancient Gold Dragon. Okay. That's going to come into play, and that's going to shoot something. Probably one of our things. Probably the Esper Sentinel. Generally, you want to kill their draw engines. Okay, he's going to shoot me in the face for 7. That's fine. That's a mistake. Again, you've got to kill me pretty quickly. At least I consider it a mistake. You've got to kill me pretty quickly. Otherwise, I'm sort of at 30 life. That is still way too much for a combo Spellslinger deck to just sit there and have that sort of security as they're slowly assembling their win cons. So now he could actually pay for the Smothering Tithe. He has enough mana. Definitely enough mana to go around. Yeah, and again, I'm hoping that we might actually swords the Terror the Peaks. I don't care that much about the Ancient Gold Dragon. Oh, actually, no, the fairies are flying. Maybe I do. That could be a problem. Terror the Peaks, a little bit slow against us. Because we're going to be comboing off on our turn. It's not like he's going to flash something in, and Terror the Peaks is going to kill us, or kill whatever we're comboing off on. So maybe the Ancient Gold Dragon is the target here. Not too worried about the Ramos player that's currently in top deck mode. Arguably, we're in top deck mode as well. But because we've cut most of the lands out of this deck, I think our top decks are a little bit better than usual, or at least better than a lot of. I'm gonna bet the Ur-Dragon actually has had mostly lands in hand. The turn he played Terror of the Peaks, I believe he could have played something else. He played the Terror of the Peaks with the Godless Shrine. So he probably top decked the Terror of the Peaks. Otherwise, he would have played the Terror of the Peaks one turn earlier. Okay, I'm just gonna assume at this point he's not paying. Why does this guy take so long? Like, what is going on here? I often like to check to see if he's trying to play 2 games at once. Anyway, this is I'm really sorry about this, guys. This is super slow by cockatrice standards. And I'm just gonna go ahead and add this guy to my ignore list. He says, dude, stop rushing me. You have 2 cards in hand. Um, you know, unless, and it's already been literally, like I pointed to Smothering Tithe, he didn't say anything. He didn't say thinking, you know, it's been like 2 minutes. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and add him to ignore list so that he doesn't join my feature games. I don't like guys who take this long to think about whether to pay for something like Smothering Tithe or to like, you know, what they're trying to do. Um, so he's gonna cast Ramos, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And yeah, so he gets, you only get 1. Right, so it's actually, yeah, I see. It's 2 counters because of Master Biomancer. For some odd reason, I thought Master Biomancer was it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter, not counters equal to Master Biomancer's power. So that's good to know. Okay. For each of that spell's colors. Okay. The only thing about this game that's been really unfortunate is that we've taken a while to essentially build up a board state that hasn't done much for us. So we fetched the Esper Sentinel, and then they pretty much played only things but creatures. And so we haven't even drawn off the Esper Sentinel. So maybe that was a mistake on my part for fetching the Esper Sentinel. Because Ur-Dragon is definitely a creature heavy deck. And I guess I didn't really know if Ramos was going to be a creature heavy deck or artifact heavy deck at the time. He started with a Tournament Sol Ring into these 2, so maybe I should have expected at that point it was going to be creature heavy, so definitely a miscalculation on my part. I want to think about what I could have grabbed instead. Honestly, probably the Ledger Shredder instead, because that triggers off of pretty much anything as long as they've cast 2 spells. So he's got a Door Nothingness. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, let's go ahead and draw. We have a Kaikar, which doesn't help us that much. At least not here. I'm trying to think what we actually want to do here. I know we can Rift the Door Nothingness to his hand if necessary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also Chain to Vapor, his Door Nothingness. Not so sure I like that one too much. I want to say we... Huh. I think casting Kaikar here might not be the worst. Where that it's a very greedy play. It's assuming that Smothering Tide is not going to be paid for by Sifris. And honestly, most players do not pay for Smothering Tithe. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. I'll play Kaikar. And then, honestly, we're just going to pass here. We're going to hope he doesn't pay for Smothering Tide. That way we have a Rift. Yeah, strangely enough, it does feel kind of like a 2v1 in some ways. It says, watch this. But it's not uncommon to feel like the table's getting up on you as Vadrok. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I will draw. I'm trying to think here. We do have Otawara. 2 legendary creatures, so we could even just bounce. Bounce it with Otawara, but I think I'd rather still Rift. Rift the door here. You have to resolve this effect first. And he can dome me for 10, that's fine. The fact that Ur-Dragon's going to draw his own cards is actually really good for us. I'm not sure he's aware that Marchesa simply makes it so that he doesn't care. I mean, these guys have been like kind of assholes to me this whole game. So I think it's totally fair if I just combo off on them, or at least get pretty close to comboing off on them on my coming turn. It's 1. That's hilarious. It's Karma. That's fine. You can kill the Cloud of Fairies. I can combo off with I can combo off with Kaikar just fine. And unless he combos off on me this turn, then I think that we should be golden. So you can choose whether to pay for it or not. But now that we have a token from Kaikar, I think we're okay. Yeah. So our dragon player is tapped out, and now my line is essentially we need to see what we draw. We can solve the equation for a snap, which I'm trying to think here. Snap would let us go positive, I think. Maybe not positive. 2, 3. Sure. You're gonna tap 1. Okay. Draw. We drew a hallowed fountain. So not exactly what we want to see here. 2 and sack the spirit token. I'm gonna solve the equation. We're gonna grab. I'm actually thinking here whether we want to grab Jessica's will. Actually, no. Let's grab Windfall. Not Windfall. Let's grab Wheel. This way we generate a ton of mana. So I'm gonna grab the Wheel of Fortune here. And I'm gonna go ahead and sack these. I'm gonna play the wheel. And this should generate us some treasures, unless he's got a counter spell. It's gonna generate a spirit token. He's gonna Boros Charm. I'm assuming, okay, that's fine. Guess I draw for the Esper Sentinel. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Go ahead and draw my 7. This is going to generate 14 treasures total. And we have it because we have Granting Ignis, we have Jessica's Will, and the Grand Abolisher. This will bring us to 16. Yeah, so we can just go ahead and cast the Grand Abolisher here. And then after that, we have Gritting Ignis into. We have Jessica's Will going into Gritting Ignis. Go ahead and play this. Honestly, let's see, 1, 2, 3. We play the Grinning Ignis. Get another clone of that from the Jessica's Will. I kind of like doing Manifold Insights here, but I don't think it's entirely necessary. What I can do is Jessica's Will, 1, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're gonna Vadrok onto this. We're gonna cast Jessica's Will. It's gonna make another Spirit token. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're gonna exile top 3. These can't be played, unfortunately. We're gonna bounce this to our hand. We're just gonna cast the Grinning Ignis. I know I'm missing tons of like Kai card triggers here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Play another Vadrok. Attach. Vadrok's going to cast Jessica's Will. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then exile top 3. Winds Rebuke is actually not bad here. Go ahead and I don't think I want to cast Winds Rebuke. We're going to actually just bounce the Grinning Ignis back to hand. So bounce this to hand. 1, 1, 2. And 1, 2, 3. Play the Grinning Ignis again. Yeah, because we're going positive on mana each time, at least on red mana. So we have like nine more times that we can keep finding. Unfortunately, that game felt really slow for us. I'm still thinking of ways to speed this up. I think that our land count might need to be increased by 1. I'm just not sure what to cut for it, at least right now. I mean, I think that that game was an example of the sort of immaturity that I see on Cockatrice. I don't like to play with people who take forever on their turns. I mean, it's understandable at some point, but whenever I literally point to Smothering Tithe and they don't respond, they don't say, I'm thinking about it, or if they say not paying, and they literally make me wait for 2 minutes to decide, then yeah, I think that's where I can say, hey, can you play a little faster? Can you at least communicate and acknowledge what's going on here? But those two are going onto my ignore list. That's fine. They're not good players. I think you can tell that. They're not really good to test against because of that. I want players that actually make me feel like I'm being threatened, because I was land screwed that game, and I think I should have died a lot sooner if I was playing against good players who are like, hey, he's playing combo deck, we need to kill him. Then I definitely would have had to use my Swords to Plowshares, would have had to play a more interactive game. Whereas if you think about what happened in that game, it was basically solitaire. I literally sat there and watched them play, not being land screwed. And they interacted with me. I only interacted with one of their pieces, and then I killed him like it was a straight solitaire game. Um, and that's not really a good test target. I want to go over the game where I did lose because I think that's a little bit more indicative. And one of the things that I wanna cover is this is a game where the players they're not speaking in the chat because we were on voice, but literally as soon as I jumped in this game, they were like, "Oh, you're playing Vadrok. That's a combo deck. We need to kill him fast." So in this game, basically what happened is I couldn't go fast enough. Similar to what I said previously, I without running Dockside, we don't have a lot of the loops that we need, and so I'm trying to figure out how can we go faster in terms of finding the pieces. We have Faithless Looting. We need essentially more card draw, and that's partly why creatures like Usury, the Efreet, uh, this thing, is in the deck. Um, but I need to find ways to compensate for not having the Dockside, because if this was a competitive Vadrok list, we would have probably Imperial recruited for the Dockside. Um, whereas without the Dockside, we actually don't know what exactly we're trying to get sometimes. Like obviously, I think um, I should have grabbed Ledger Shredder in the previous game. Maybe that would have sped us up, sculpted our hand a little bit faster, uh, dug us in our deck. Um, and it was just my bad judgment call to grab the Esper Sentinel against a creature deck. But the thing about not having Dockside and having to make that sort of decision of what do we grab here, um, that has been tough uh, in terms of deck building. We don't have clear lines with the Imperial Recruiter, and our utility we don't have that many utility lines either. It's pretty much just do we grab the Cloud of Fairies that we need for our combo, and if not, do we need like Loran the third path to blow up something, or do we grab a draw engine, and then if so, which draw engine do we grab? So going back to this game, as you see, they're playing Solfim. Unfortunately, spoilers aren't really loading for me right now. So the the Geared player has a Thragtusk on a Blade of Selves, so that's why he's going up to levels of essentially he's in Aether Flux kill range here. Um, and so he's getting Beast off the Thragtusk as well as getting Life. He's got a pretty scary hand. I Mystical Tutor for the Windfall. Um, and I did tutor for Grinning Ignis off of off the Imperial Recruiter. Um, probably not the right target here. So I think I probably misplayed here as well because I needed to tutor for. Um, okay, maybe the reason why is because I had a Faithless Looting in the graveyard. I have a Heat Shimmer. I'm not that far away from a WinCon. Um, this was also back when Treasonous Ogre was in the deck, and I know I cut Treasonous Ogre for Loran. I think Loran actually would have been better to have in hand here, because I'm not sure if you saw, but as soon as I cast the Treasonous Ogre in this game, uh, actually I don't know if I cast him, but essentially I never felt comfortable casting him. He probably would have just died. And also, if you're not comboing off, he's just kind of sitting in hand awkward because you don't want to cast him without comboing off. So I think having Loran would have been much better here. Would have given me a draw engine, would have let me blow up probably the Blade of Cells, gotten some political clout from the table. But yeah, I cast the Grinning Ignis because I'm like, well, I'm hoping to be able to mutate Vadrok onto it. I wasn't sure I was gonna cast with that. But yeah, we got our Southern Tide removed. Essentially, this game we got burned out by Solfim before we combo off, and so that's kind of why I was looking for ways to go faster. Is we have a lot of wheels in this deck, and again we're getting attacked. Uh, the Red player didn't attack us, I think, just because he was more concerned with Solfim over the course of the game. and yes, so, Sword of War and Peace on Solphim is pretty scary. But the other players were very much like, yes, we need to kill the Vadrok player quickly and immediately. And I know it might seem weird to like, okay, I'm going to cast the Grinding Ignis and pass. Um, and I think I did it because uh, I needed to cast the Grinding Ignis um, before Windfall. I'm not sure exactly what my line was there. I could have just misplayed again. But again, the core issue with this deck that I'm having is that I want to go faster. There are games where I am able to go pretty fast, but um, I need to be able to go even faster. I need mana uh, quickly, as most decks do. So I think the Smothering Tide, I think Deep Dome Terramancer were good inclusions. And then I also need ways to dig really quickly. And so I think in the future, actually, I might just grab the Ledger Shredder instead of the Esper Sentinel, just like by default. That might be something I need to put in the notes. It's something I certainly need to test and determine whether that is the right way to think about it. If you see some of my other primers, I put a lot of notes in there saying, hey, you know, if in doubt, when you're tutoring, grab this or grab that. And that's certainly the case here, um, where we're essentially just getting killed by the table. We're getting burned out. We're having to, um, you know, I windfall here. He flashes Solitude in response. This is a very interactive game. This is much more indicative of the kind of power level I like to test against. Unfortunately, Windfall for 4 was actually not that good. Um, and again, this was also a time when I was running Dreadhorde Arcanist. What did I place here? I put the Deep Gnome Terramancer in place. Um, and the I would still rather have had the Deep Gnome Terramancer, and that is because the Deep Gnome Terramancer has flash. So people who are wary of Vadrok and they're like, don't let the Vadrok player have creatures because they're just going to mutate onto them, assuming they're not human. Dreadhorde Arcanist is not that good here. You cast it, and then unless you can, well, even then it has summoning settings, so you can't just like mutate onto it and then swing and use its ability. If you don't know what it does, I'm just going to pull it down. Yeah, so you can't just, swing. You can't just cast this and then swing. You literally have to wait a full turn cycle. Whereas if I am trying to mutate Vadrok, I'd much rather have the Deep Gnome Terramancer be able to flash in at instant speed on the previous person's end step and then play Vadrok uh, and mutate onto it, and then probably cast like another Windfall or something like that. Um, so yeah, most of this has been kind of explaining the cuts. This game was a good example of why a lot of the cards that I was testing and playing with felt awkward, why we need to go faster, and why cards like I think Loran, Valakut Awakening, these cards just do a better job of getting us where we want to be. I've had games where, uh, like that one. I think if we had the Atraxa player in the game, I, I would bet money that they would have played like a Farseek or something. They're a 4-color deck. They need to ramp. They need to accelerate. And honestly, I think we would have gotten a lot more mileage out of the Deep Gnome Terramancer. We probably could have ended the game sooner um, than we did. It's hard to evaluate 3-player games. I don't build for 3-player. I think 3-player, even though it's not that far off from 4-player, I think there are still some significant differences that can happen just because um, you can see a lot of creature decks in play that make, say, like your Esper Sentinel sad. But I think that seeing 2 players not have any sort of ramp, even though they're both playing green, is a little unusual. If 3 players at the table are playing green, or literally just 3 players at the table, I think one of them is going to fetch, and that's all we needed um, was for one of them to be fetching. So yeah, at this point, as you've seen, I've already died. Back where I was previously, unfortunately, Cockatrice replays are a little bit bugged, where if you don't go all the way back to the beginning, it kind of like bugs out here. Um, I got down to like 5 life from the Solphim, and then he just burned me out. So the turn I attempted to bounce Solphim to hand, he burned me. All of his burn spells doing double damage, and I died. And of course, this Solphim player at the very beginning of the game was just like, hey, I played against Vadrok, it's a combo Spellslinger deck, we need to kill him quickly. And so what I'm going to be focused on moving forward, and I know this is a long video, probably the longest video I've made to date, is trying to see what I can do to speed up this deck. Taking some of the cards like Realm Right, which are really only good in certain combos or serve as combo pieces, and trying to make them, trying to find a non-human creature replacement that will speed us up. Um, just because, again, I haven't felt like I've needed to. Uh, I know that the number of islands we're running in our deck is only like 6 or something like that, but High Tide has the number of games where I've done a High Tide loop even off of just like 2 islands, and that's been relevant, has been huge. And that's because 2 is kind of the magic number, 2 to 3 roughly. You know, we've got Cloud of Fairies that's going to untap too, and we've got Frantic Search. You know, both these, when we're casting them off of the Vadrok trigger, they're untapping lands. And so it's not like we're getting more than 3 islands untapped anyway, and so that's why I'm fine having the number of islands that we do. And so that's honestly why Realm Route feels a little bit win more. I know it can sort of fix your mana early on, but I haven't had mana issues with this deck really. I think um, we do run uh, the right color sources. We do run fetch lands. We can get the mana that we need. And so this is definitely the creature that's on the chopping block here. I just need to find an alternative that is a non-human and again kind of speeds us up, or some other way kind of helps us. So that's what I'll be working on moving forward. Thanks for watching this video, and eventually we will have a tuned non CEDH Vadrok list uh, that can play at high power.